am so excited to talk to you about the 8 clear psychic abilities. This is how we receive information as well as give information. In this video, we're going to be talking about clairvoyance. This is our clear sense of sight, vision, imagination. When we think of clairvoyance, a person that comes to mind might be That's So Raven. It's a TV show. I think it's a Disney show. A show where a teenager receives psychic insight about future events and she sees them very vividly in her mind's eye. That is one type of clairvoyance. Okay, there are many. Some people see things outside of them. They can see past loved ones, ancestors, different beings like unicorns, dragons, fairies. They can see into different portals. You can see people's auras or ascended masters. That's not the case for most people, okay? Most people see things inside of their mind's eye or their third eye. One of the reasons is because there can be some fear surrounding seeing things like that outside of you. Because you might have been able to see spirits as a child, which I was myself, but actually cut off my gifts because I didn't have anybody to talk to about that, okay? And I could see shadow beings, and I grew up in a very religious household, and so that was very much not okay to be in the realms of these things. Or, you know, society will paint a picture of how things that we don't understand are evil or how they can potentially hurt us. And so there can be some very deep-rooted programming in there as well. Or maybe clairvoyance isn't one of your strongest gifts, but it's definitely something that you can attune yourself to and get more proficient at. Now, do you want to see things outside of you? Maybe not. Just because you have clairvoyancy doesn't necessarily mean that you have to see things out here. It also means that you don't have to see things in your mind's eye as far as spirits or beings or entities or ascended masters or past loved ones. You have autonomy over your body, okay, and over your mind. You get to decide what you attune yourself to, okay? Being able to see things with clairvoyancy can help you with some manifesting, getting on your most optimal timeline, getting in the career that you want or the relationship. It doesn't always necessarily have to be in the realms of, again, seeing different types of energy bodies. So this is where you have to kind of do a deep dive in self and say, what exactly do I want out of these spiritual gifts? Not just clairvoyancy, but all 8. Okay, you get to decide how you interact with your spiritual gifts and abilities and what you want on the other side of them. So I always like to say that because everybody's at different places and spaces on their journey, and maybe that's not your modus operandi. Okay? But if it is, working with your clairvoyant skills and learning how to attune that and how to perceive things more clearly can help you either see them within your third eye or outside of you as well. So we're going to go over some signs that you might be clairvoyant. You receive intuitive information visually through pictures, colors, imagery, and symbols. You can see images of past, present, and future events. It can be in your own life, other people's lives, historical things that have happened, or the collective experience as a whole. Once you learn how to develop your clairvoyance abilities, a beautiful thing that you can do for others is help them see further down their timeline. Some might call it behavioral pattern recognition or frequency finding, but this is you being able to see the path that is laid out in front of them and say, hey, I feel like that you should do this or do that, and then the web would connect to one another and you will be able to get to where you're going a lot faster, or telling them the things that are blocking or impeding them from their most aligned timelines. That is known as a timeline reader. And you being able to see, again, further down their soul contracts. You receive a lot of information through visual meditations, your dreams, having conversations with others, and when you are utilizing your imagination, either to daydream or to manifest. You can perceive auras around people, like see the different colors that envelop them, or see the bigger energy field that surrounds them. You love visually beautiful things like art, photography, nature, interior design, fashion, and architecture. You are more of a visual learner and might be really good at visual spatial tasks like reading maps, and are really good at directions. And this can also include putting puzzles together or getting some furniture like from IKEA and reading the instructions and being able to put it together very easily. out of the corner of your eye, or maybe even not out of the corner, but just around you, you can see orbs floating around, which are indicative of spirits being near you. You see shadows or twinkling lights. The twinkling lights might also be an astigmatism. I'm just kidding. But really, I have an astigmatism, and if I didn't wear my contacts, all of the lights at night would be like very bright twinkling lights. You might be a big fan of visually creative expressions like drawing, painting, coloring. You might also be a very avid reader. You may have also had imaginary friends growing up. They're not necessarily imaginary. Sometimes those are your spirit team that were surrounding you, or your ancestors or loved ones that have passed on to the other side that are watching over you, or angels. It can be a whole assortment of different wonderful beings. How do we develop our clairvoyant abilities? There are lots of different methods that you can use, so we want to do some research and figure out which one is best for us and try a lot of different things to figure out what's in resonance. One of the things that helped me in my journey is to work with oracle cards. So these are a little bit different than tarot. Tarot is typically having very specific types of message that go along with each cards. Oracle cards are open to interpretation. Yes, they do come with guidebooks, but it's not the same as tarot. Again, is more open for interpretation. So I suggest getting an oracle deck. You don't have to buy one. There's tons of them online that you can find that are free. You don't even have to use oracle cards. You can literally go on Google and do this and just look at random pictures, okay? Pictures that you resonate with, of course, that bring you joy or inspire some type of creative thought within. But we want to take a card and get out a sheet of paper and ask yourself, what is my interpretation of this? Okay, close your eyes, pull it up in your imagination and say, how does this relate to my life? Write down the answer and then go back in and ask your higher self in your spirit team, or your inner children, or your teenagers inside, okay, or your different incarnations. They're going to give you a different answer because they are a different personality. They have different insights, different types of guidance. They are different reflections of you. Also, like we talked about before, about how we can connect deeper into our dreams. If you set the intention before bed and saying, I am going to remember my dreams. I am going to receive insights, guidance, and downloads. And right when you wake up, writing them down or voice noting them to yourself. The more that you do it, the stronger that is going to get, and you're going to not only be able to perceive more things in your dreams, but in your waking life as well, because now your subconscious is looking for more symbolism in your everyday life to reflect back to you to help you create forward movement. And also create a symbol dictionary. Okay, this is where you keep maybe journal or a notebook, and you write down, if I see the symbol fire, what does that mean for me? If I see the clover symbol, what does that mean? If I see a red cardinal, what does that mean? And what you're doing is you're creating a log bank in your consciousness so that when you are either working with self or you're working with other people, that image or that symbol is going to come up in your mind automatically to let you know that maybe you're going down the right direction, or let you know what's going on with your energy, or what type of medicine that can provide you with healing. And in meditation, you can practice pulling that symbol up within you and feeling those energies or those insights. So that way in the future, it's a lot easier to pull up when needed. You know, if you are clairaudient, this is the clear sense of hearing. And there's different types. There is hearing with your physical ears outside of you. And then there's hearing with your spiritual ears. And sometimes that can be a little bit confusing if you're newer to channeling, because everything that you're receiving is coming through in your own voice. And this is why we're going to talk about this in Spirit Guides, but this is why I recommend asking your higher self or your inner children or teens or your spirit guides or different ascended masters or deities that you want to work with, that you ask them to speak to you in a different personality, a different tone, to use different type of languaging than you would normally use. And so that way you can start to pick up on the distinctions between what is self in the present and what is another form of information through, a different persona, a different person that is trying to download into your energy fields. Clairaudience is one of my strongest gifts now, even though it wasn't in the beginning. That is something that I had to spend a lot of time and energy on attuning myself to and becoming more proficient. And at first, everything did sound like it was just coming from me. And I was like, I don't know if I'm just making this up or what's going on. But when I asked all of my team, spirit team, and whatever that means for you, to speak to me in different types of ways, it helped so much because I could pick up on, this is a lot different than my core personality. These are things that I wouldn't typically say, you know, like positive things, but just in a manner that is not coming from this Sage right now. And that is in the same context for working with clients. You might hear all of the information coming through in your own voice, but when you learn how to pick up on these distinct differences between personas, so much easier. But you have to ask. You always have to ask things like this, because spirit guides, inner children, teens, your higher self, ascended masters, deities, they're not going to do anything to step on your free will. Okay, because you have autonomy over your body. And your inner children and teens are a little bit different, because in your higher self, because they are part of you. This is more in the context of beings and deities and ascended masters and things, entities. You have to ask what you want of them and give them permission, and so that they can come in and speak to you in different ways. You got to give them directions. Okay, but that goes the same for your inner children, teens, higher self as well. Like, if you tell them, hey, I want to interact with you in this way, they are going to shift their energy and the way that they respond back to you. So how do we tell that we are clairaudient? You can hear whispers from the spirit world or the ethers, like conversations or whispers, even when there's nobody around you. Okay, this is like not you being in public, obviously, but maybe in public as well. You could be around a whole lot of other people and then hear things in your physical ears or in your spiritual ears, your internal ears, and nobody is actually talking outside of you. And we can get into some things about telepathy, of you being able to read people's minds or hear the things that they're saying within themselves, even if they're consciously aware of it or not. A lot of empaths and light workers are able to pick up on people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but also things that are going on in their subconscious. You can hear the depths within them that they may not even be privy to. Sometimes that's what creates dissonance between us and others, because we're on two different planes of existence having a conversation with one another. Because you can hear the things that are not being said, and sometimes that person is aware of those things and sometimes not. You might hear your name being called even though nobody's around you. It can be your higher self trying to get your attention, or your spirit team. You also receive a lot of guidance through music. You receive wisdom or intuitive insights through the form of words or phrases. You experience a lot of ringing or buzzing in your ears. Now, I'm not a medical doctor. It might be tinnitus. That's some imbalances in our physical ears, but this is different. This is your spirit team, your higher self, whomever you work with, trying to get your attention. They're saying, be more present, or they're trying to say, what were you just thinking about? Maybe we need to adjust our thoughts or adjust our emotions. Maybe we have some signs and synchronicities that we're trying to send you and we're not paying attention. So that takes some work on your end of paying attention to when the buzzing or the ringing is going on in your ears of, okay, what was I just thinking about? Am I being present? What is happening around me right now? Are they trying to send me a download? Maybe I need to take a moment of peace with myself, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, and figure out what they're trying to send me. You can hear conversations from different realms and dimensions. This happens a lot when I'm doing multidimensional chakra scans. I'm going in with the intention to connect with my client, but oftentimes that client's, different timeline versions of when I'm meeting them in the ethers. They're in these public places that aren't necessarily on Earth, or they're having conversations with their families in the etheric realms. And I'm kind of a bystander over here, and I could hear the conversations that these other beings are having on these different planes of existence. You hear messages in your dreams. You are more of a listener than you are a talker with other people or in conversations. But on the other end of that, you talk to yourself a lot. It can either be out loud or in your mind. I am very much more of a listener than a talker. I like to be the observer in situations so I can get the grand scope of what is happening, not only in relation to me, but in the context of people or groups around me as well, because I'm able to glean a lot more insight about said persons or situations by listening and sitting back and taking on that observer role and hearing the things that are not being said vocally. You might be really sensitive to loud noises or busy environments. You can hear plants, animals, and trees talking to you. You tend to use the words I hear in conversations, such as, what I'm hearing you say is. You're more of an auditory learner. So an example of this would be you listening to an audiobook instead of reading. And with the different clair abilities, you do not have to have all of these to be indicative if you have specific clair abilities. These are just some signs. There are so many, and everybody's gifts and abilities are going to look very different from one another, but these are a great jumping point to help you become more aware if you have these gifts innately, or maybe they are like, oh, I really want to have these. These sound super fun. Maybe I'm not as proficient in some of them, but I could be if I put in a lot of time and practice. A great way to develop clairaudience is to listen to music that has a lot of different instruments or components to it. So we can put headphones in and do this while we're doing a still meditation or an active meditation like we talked about, something where you're very calm and relaxed and you have the time and space to really tap in. And what we're going to do is listen to all the different layers of the sounds and try and pick out specific instruments or components of that music and hone in on that very specifically and try and make it the loudest thing that you can hear. You can also do this out in nature because there's always, tons of sounds, frogs, birds, the wind rustling, and people crunching leaves as they're walking by, but trying to identify very specifically each sound, and that's going to help you attune your physical ears and also your spiritual ears. And also ask your higher self or your guides, your spirit team to send you insights or downloads while you're listening to music or watching TV shows or cartoons or movies, while you're listening to sound baths or guided meditations. Clairgustance is the clear sense of tasting. You might have a highly developed sense of taste, and you can pick out very specific ingredients in the things that you are eating and drinking. You think a lot about meals that you are excited to eat, but when you experience something that does not taste good, you get very disappointed over it. Sense of taste can evoke very strong emotions or memories from the past, especially with relationships. So when you think about your grandmother, maybe you have the taste of cookies that show up. That is a form of psychic connection with different people. A funny one is you might start salivating a lot out of nowhere, even if there's no food or drink present. You have very strong memories of how things taste, and you can recall those very easily. You can taste past, present, and future events. They all have a different flavor to them. This also goes for people in your life. I know that sounds really weird, but you can actually taste people's energy or their aura, and that also goes for animals and plants and trees. Also, when you are intentionally channeling, you might have a different taste of the ethers or different frequencies or dimensions. A great way to develop clairgustance is to take a special note of when you are around certain persons, places, things, plants, animals, pets, that your flavor profile might change. This might be something that is unfamiliar, that you haven't tasted before, or something that you have in the past. When you are being more conscious about this ability, it's going to strengthen. The more that you take special notes and then you're honing in on what exactly that taste is, you start to build a pattern recognition and you're able to strengthen this ability. People who have clairgustance also often have clairalience. Okay, that is the clear sense of smelling. They're very connected with one another, and When you smell something, you tend to taste it. And when you taste something, you tend to smell it as well. And so if you feel like that you have one of these abilities, you probably have the other. Okay? Or if you don't currently, it's going to be like a hop, skip, and a jump for you to be able to strengthen the other ability. Also working with your throat chakra for clairgustance or clairalience or clairaudience, because this is all connected in with one another. So you can go in meditation and envision your throat chakra opening, that blue energy, and enveloping you and setting the intention of, I want to amplify my throat chakra in relation to whatever gift that you are working with, whether it is clairgustance, clairalience, or clairaudience. It is going to help you deepen your resonance and understandings of these gifts. Claircognizance is the clear sense that goes beyond logic and reason. You tend to know things are true rather than feeling that things are true. And you can have both. Some people are more proficient in certain clear abilities than others. With clear feeling, that is going to be clairsentience or clear empathy. But if you feel that it's coming from your mind and it just dropped in there all of a sudden, that deep internal knowing, that is typically a sign of claircognizance. You know when somebody has ill intentions or really positive good intentions. You tend to wake up with solutions. Maybe you ask yourself a question before you go to bed, and then when you wake up, you're like, I got it. Your gut instincts are almost always right. You are very good at behavioral pattern recognition. You are a thinker and you like contemplating life's deeper meanings, and you often get lost in your own thoughts. You prefer self-learning opposed to somebody else teaching you something. And not in all contexts, because it is really nice to have a guidance from others, but for the most part, you are very self-accountable about obtaining your own knowledge and wisdom and understandings of things. You enjoy writing and have the ability to weave words together beautifully. You understand language and the power in storytelling. You're able to invoke emotions through your written expressions. You often interrupt other people because you know what they're going to say. You often have random ideas or solutions that pop into your mind, and you also know the outcome of situations before they happen. A great way to develop claircognizance is to do automatic writing. This is when you get out a sheet of paper and you just write whatever comes to mind. And you can actually take it a step further and ask your higher self or your spirit team or different animal consciousness, your higher awareness, ascended masters, deities, whomever you like to work with. You can ask them a question and see what comes through. Or you can find journal prompts and put it at the top as a header and just let everything flow through. Remember that claircognizance goes beyond logic and reasoning. It's just an internal knowing. So oftentimes what trips up our claircognizant abilities is saying, I feel like I'm just making this up, or this is not right. This is where automatic writing comes in, is really beneficial because it's not being graded. It's not like you're having to turn it in. Nobody else is looking at this. It's a way to tune in to that deep internal knowledge and wisdom that you hold. And it's not even just what you hold. Claircognizance is able to pick up on bits of information from different frequencies, different timelines, different dimensions. You have access to a lot of knowledge and wisdom that is outside of self. Lastly is to pay special attention when you are right. When you had a prediction about a person, a place, or a thing, whether it is negative or positive, that is your claircognizant abilities coming in to help you out. So when you pay more attention and put your self-awareness on the fact that your gift is working for you, the stronger that it is going to get, because you're learning how to trust yourself on very deep levels and trust your abilities. Clairtangency, which is also known as psychometry, is the clear sense of touch. You are able to receive insight or information about plants, trees, animals, people, and objects when you physically touch them. Or you can receive it through a hug, a handshake, or sitting in a chair that somebody was previously sitting in. Someone may brush up against you. You can hold a photograph of someone or their jewelry or an item of clothing. You prefer to learn kinesthetically. This is hands-on learning. You have to wash your hands very often because you are picking up on all of this energy through them. So we need to do a lot of clearing. And I will say, for my people that have OCD, okay, or OCD tendencies, over washing your hands can do a lot of damage to your skin. And so there's different ways that you can clear the energy from your hands. Okay, we can clap. I'm going to do it, so I didn't want to speak to you. Okay, so you can clap, and you can do that several times and saying, I am clearing my energy. You can shake your hands like this. You can get some clearing spray like Florida water and just spray that over yourself. You can utilize Palo Santo, incense, or sage and use it around your hands. Or you can simply speak into your hands and say, I clear anyone or anything's energy from my hands that are not mine. And not just your hands, you can do it as your whole body as well, because psychometry or clairtangency, yes, a lot of the energy comes through our hands because we have chakras within them, but it goes for all of your body. Okay, so you can get up and shake everything, or again, utilize those tools that I mentioned before, like sage and Palo Santo, or incense, or clearing sprays, or do grounding and clearing meditations. People with clairtangency often feel very drained when they go into antique stores or secondhand shops or pawn stores, especially when they are touching items that people have previously owned, because everything holds energy. And if it's utilized a lot, like jewelry or clothes, you may have to take some extra measure to get somebody else's energy off of your own fields. That also goes if you receive a gift from somebody and you feel like you need to rehome it or donate it after you receive it. It might be holding a lot of their own personal energy that you are not resonating with on a frequency level. And so that might be why you get that urge sometimes. If you have felt those urges before to get rid of things after you receive them, you don't always have to do that. Sometimes you can simply do clearing activities like we talked about previously with them, like doing a grounding or clearing meditation with the object or the gift. You can use incense, Palo Santo, sage, or clearing sprays. And a way to develop clairtangency is when you put your hands on something, whether it's an object, a person, a animal, a plant, a tree, is to notice the sensations that come up in your body. Maybe you see certain images or colors, or you have certain smells or tastes. You might receive different symbols or hear different insights. And when you develop this gift on a deeper level, you don't even actually have to touch things physically. You can go into the etheric realms if you do Akashic type of work, or going within people's chakra fields or their light bodies, and you can actually touch persons, places, or things, or animals, plants, trees in different dimensional spaces, but you're touching them etherically with your energy hands instead of your physical hands, and you can pick up psychic insight that way as well. Clair empathy is the clear sense of feeling emotions in your body. Now, this gift is very similar to clairsentience. You both feel emotions, but you utilize them in different capacities. Clairsentience is being able to pick up on the vibe of persons, places, and things, or animals, plants, trees, and understanding whether you need to spend time and energy with these persons, places, and things. Clair empathy is you feeling other people's emotions in your body in order to connect with them on a deeper level to help them in some type of capacity, or even with yourself, like understanding yourself and your emotional states on deeper levels to support you. Okay? But this is so you can offer guidance and wisdom and direction. And how do you know if you are a clair empath? You are very sensitive to your feelings. You have very strong responses to your own thoughts. They can shift your emotional state very easily, whether that's positive or negative. You also have strong responses from things that are going on in your external environment, whether that is with people or animals or kids, situations going on at your job. You experience emotions, thoughts, and physical symptoms that are not always yours. And that's why if we do not have the best handle on our empathic abilities when we are around a lot of people, especially people that are that do not have the most stabilized energy fields themselves, we are picking up on what is going on with them, sometimes aware of that, and then sometimes not. And our body is trying to process not only what is going on with us, but also what is going on with that other person, without being aware that, hey, a lot of this stuff is not even mine. In saying that, feeling the negative emotions of other people can be very overwhelming and overstimulating. Or if they're complaining a lot or involved in drama, you are drawn to protect animals and the environment. You have a natural ability to heal people or animals because of your deep levels of empathy, and that you can resonate with people on multitudes of levels and then let them know what kind of changes that they need to make in their life, whether it is behavioral, with their thoughts, with the triggers that they are experiencing, how they are reacting in life, different types of foods that maybe that they need to eat to get rebalanced, or grounding practices, tools, and resources. You can feel in your body what they need because you're not looking at them objectively outside of you. You're actually feeling it within yourself. You can pick up on emotions through art, music, different types of cinema like movies, TV shows, cartoons. You can also pick up on emotions through social media. Let's talk about the positives and negatives of being an empath. Okay? If we are not having a good handle on our energy field and holding good boundaries of not taking on other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, what often happens is we can have a savior complex where we feel like we have to step in and help everyone in the world heal, especially because a lot of empaths and light workers have been hurt themselves in their own life, so they know how detrimental that is. And so you take on that task of being a transmuter and alchemizer for everyone. But when we do that, a lot of times we end up pulling in narcissists or energetic vampires, okay? Because we are not cultivating healthy energy exchange relationships in our life. We're always giving, and people are taking. A lot of that is because of safety trauma responses as a child, okay? If you had to learn how to read people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions to keep yourself safe, you're doing that on autopilot, okay? And you may have not had a lot of equal energy exchange relationships in your life, and so your inner children and teens within are naturally drawn to narcissists and energetic vampires and people who are takers. And so that's where you have to come in and learn how to hold really good energetic boundaries and understanding that it is not your job to help everybody. We are here to assist with our medicine and our beautiful healing abilities with people who love and support and uplift us. Okay, it needs to be a two-way street. There was a time where I really didn't like being around people at all because it was very overwhelming and overstimulating. This is before I really understood my empathic abilities and how to fine-tune them and not take on other people's stuff. And now I absolutely love people. I have very good energetic boundaries, and I, understand that it's not my job to help every single person on the planet. I'm supposed to be helping the people that are meant for me in my path, and it's fantastic. It's great. But I had to do a lot of leaning into my own emotions and figure out what makes me feel good and what doesn't, and learning how to work through people pleasing and masking, and how to heal those safety trauma responses from childhood and teenage years, understanding that I'm safe in my current reality, adjusting the time and energy that I spend with certain persons that don't make me feel good, and surrounding myself with supportive people that uplift and celebrate me. I learned that it wasn't people that I didn't enjoy, it was I needed to be around a different type of persons. And I did that through all the self-healing work and learning about energetic boundaries and loving myself on deeper levels and working on my self-concept and what I am willing to let into my life, especially in my inner circle. And some things that you can do to develop this is, one, working on your energetic boundaries, okay? Saying no when you don't have the time and energy for things, or reinvesting your time and energy in relationships that are being beneficial in your life. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 on my phone. Asking yourself when you interact with somebody, how did I feel before we had a conversation? because a lot of times that can shift your own energy field depending on what they're projecting out of their energy field. So if you were feeling happy and elated and bubbly and prosperous and abundant, and then you went to go talk to this person and now you're sad and in the pits, and that is indicative of you allowing that other person's energy to overshadow your own. Now, when you have a conscious awareness of that and you say, oh, I think that this stuff is not mine, it's actually coming from somewhere else, it's a lot easier to ground into yourself and clear it. You can just simply say, oh, that's not mine. And the opposite is true too. If you're feeling kind of sad or melancholy or just not in the best mood, and then you get around somebody that lifts your frequency and your vibration, pay attention to that and say, oh, I really want to bring in more of that energy into my life. Okay, we can also be gravitating towards the energies that we want to experience more of, and asking your energy body to envelop yourself in them. Take notice before you go into a store or a restaurant next time. How am I feeling right now? And then go in and do whatever you're going to do, whether it's sit down and eat a meal or go shopping for some clothes or groceries. And then once you come out of the experience, ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling? And this can let you know if there were some energies within those places and spaces that shifted your own field. And when you have very deep empathic abilities, oftentimes you are connecting into other people's energy fields, but you're also connected into the greater psychic grid. This is the collective as a whole. And so when there are very heavy things going on out in the cosmos or, on Earth, you can feel them in your body. And so if you ever get a sudden wave of sadness or anger or frustration, ask yourself, is this mine, or is this something that is going on collectively in the world? And having that perceptual awareness shift, again, will help you ground in and clear those energies easier. Also understanding that you can turn down your empathic abilities or turn them up depending on what experience that you're having and whether or not you want to feel certain frequencies and vibrations in your body. And having that awareness can help you mitigate different experiences a lot easier. Clairsentience is the clear sense of feeling sensations or frequencies within your body. You can feel the vibes of persons, places, animals, and spirits. You can perceive the root of people's problems very quickly and clearly. You are fascinated with things that are ancient or historical because you can feel the layers of energy that have been embedded into them. You might be a social butterfly because you can feel the different ways in which people like to connect. You gravitate toward places and spaces that are very bright and airy because you understand that places that have a darker type of lighting and are very crowded by people tend to have a lot of heavier energy surrounding them. You are ahead of your time because you realized how impactful quantum and spiritual topics were going to be in the collective. You do not trust what you're told or what you see on the surface. You trust in what you can feel. You may avoid shopping in certain places or eating at certain restaurants because of the way that you feel when you're there. And the opposite is true too. You might gravitate towards certain stores or restaurants because you feel like this really welcoming, open, airy energy. You can clearly feel other people's intentions, and it may not match up with the things that they're saying. Okay? Or maybe they're not saying anything at all, but you know that they're coming from a place of love and unity consciousness. You feel when something is off with a loved one, the vibes are off, or you can tell that they're going through something without them even having to explain, or sometimes you can even predict that something is going to happen in their life. We're very sensitive to the environments around you, particularly in your home space, or maybe if you have an office that you work at, and when things change, it can affect you very negatively or positively. You might have a difficult time shopping in thrift stores or antique stores because you are picking up on everyone's energy that was left over on the clothes or the items. A great way to develop this is to start cultivating a self-awareness about your feelings and your emotions and the physical sensations that they bring up in your body. Develop understandings about energy through learning about chakras, light bodies, auric fields, or how your energy field works around you. Grounding is so incredibly important for people that have clairsentience because you are an open channel to receive so many different frequencies as you go throughout your day that sometimes we can hold on to those. And so we need to be practicing a lot of clearing modalities, whether that's meditation or doing Reiki or light language on self, imagining that you have tree roots growing into the earth, or you can ask your higher self or your spirit team to help do a cosmic clearing, cosmic wash on you. Learning how to set good energetic boundaries. This is understanding what are your feelings and emotions opposed to other people's feelings and emotions, and not feeling like that you have to transmute everybody else's stuff. And it's learning that it's okay to say, I do not have the capacity for that right now. It's also not your responsibility to heal everyone. Learning how to have behavioral pattern recognition with your own energy. So when you are around certain persons, places, things, objects, animals, what are the emotions and feelings that are coming up? If we're getting something that doesn't make us feel good necessarily, we need to be paying attention to those things and then gravitating towards the things that really light us up and bring us a lot of joy and peace. Let's talk about clairalience. This is the clear sense of smelling. Clairalience allows you to invoke emotions or memories through sense, or connect to past, present, or future based on smells. You might be able to tell when a past loved one is near you, watching over you, because you can smell, maybe they smoke cigarettes, or you can pick up on their favorite perfume, or maybe a favorite candle that they like to use in their home. And back to the example that we were using with clairgustance with the cookies, clairgustance, you would be able to taste them maybe when you think of your grandmother. With clairalience, you are able to smell cookies when you think of her. A lot of doctors and nurses have clairalience because they are able to smell certain diseases or illnesses before they even test for them. There have been many times that I have taken my son to the doctor and the doctor will smell his breath and I was like, oh, he has strep throat. or he has some type of like sinus infection going on. You can also have a highly developed sense of smell where you're able to pick up on specific ingredients in the food that you're eating or the drinks that you drink. You might get a tingly sensation in your nose when you are intentionally channeling or intuitively channeling. That happens to me a lot. It helps me know that I'm on the right path, and it just it's a not an odd sensation necessarily, but it just comes out of nowhere and it kind of like, oop. That's a good indicator that I am saying the things that I need to say, or maybe I need to dig a little bit deeper and like root out the messaging. If you sneeze a lot randomly, that might be a sign from your higher self or your spirit team that they're trying to get a hold of you. They're trying to send you insights or downloads or signs and synchronicities. Maybe we're not being present or paying attention, or maybe we were having some negative thoughts or some really heavy emotions and they're trying to redirect your energy. So the next time that you sneeze, ask yourself, what was I just thinking about? Are they trying to get my attention? Do I need to be more present? You can smell things that other people cannot pick up on. Okay, you're like, can't you smell that? I have somebody like that in my life who is very attuned with their smelling and with their nose, and they're constantly talking about these smells, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, nobody else is sensing that but you, but they have very deep clairalience abilities. You are also very sensitive to good smells and bad smells. You can smell the emotions and moods of other people and animals. And I have a friend who can actually smell people's astrology signs, and I think that is so cool. And ways to develop clairalience is, again, working with your throat chakra like we talked about with clairgustance, because all of this is connected in with your throat chakra. And so the more that you go in meditation and ask for your throat chakra to be open and amplified, it's going to help you fine-tune this ability. Oh, it's 11:11 on my phone. You can work with Palo Santo or sage or incense while you are meditating or channeling or working with others like clients, because this helps your subconscious do a flip of, okay, we're going to be more present within our energy field so that we can receive intuitive guidance and downloads, but it also it also amplifies your psychic insight, because these are very high vibrational plants that we are working with. Have you ever noticed a sour smell when somebody's around you and they're not in a good mood, or maybe you smell flowers right before something really awesome happens? This is where we need to be paying attention to patterns, because when you're around certain people that have different emotions or energy fields, or you're picking up on something from the past, present, or future, and you have something distinctly come up as a smell, that can help you start to create a catalog of, okay, when I'm having this type of certain experience, this is how my psychic insight is trying to come through to help me be more present and aware, or to receive downloads and guidance. Another way to develop is to sit in meditation and pull up smells okay, that you are familiar with, and that will help you fine-tune your perception abilities through scent, and also smell more things. The more scents that you can get your, I was going to say hands on, but your nose on, the bigger catalog that you are going to be able to